In 2011, Brandon Marshall found himself in a group therapy session at the McLean Hospital in Belmont, Massachusetts. Sitting in a circle, Marshall and the other attendees were asked to share what they were feeling and discuss what had happened the day before. As the discussion circled around the room, everybody told their stories. Some were experiencing depression, others anxiety. The reasons behind their disorders were broad. Marshall noticed the person next to him, a young woman with blood-soaked bandages on her arms. When it was her turn, she told the group about how she attempted suicide the night before. Marshall sat in silence. For those who are not aware, at the time, Brandon Marshall was playing professionally in the American National Football League. As he sat listening to the others tell their story, he didn't know how to react. At the end of the session, everyone got up, went to their cars, and filtered back into society. Marshall watched. He couldn't believe these people who had just exposed their souls with traumatic experiences were heading off as if everything was okay. After watching for a moment, he started to wonder how many other people in cars on that street were facing similar struggles in silence. As more cars drove past, he began to calculate that if this was just one street, how many others feel like this on every street around the world? Potentially millions and millions of people in pain. There and then, he decided he wouldn't remain silent. By using his platform as a professional football player to help bridge the gap in the mental health community. I didn't just feel like it was my obligation. I knew, without a doubt, that it was my purpose, explained Brandon. Brandon was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, BPD, earlier in 2011. BPD is an emotional disorder that affects a person's ability to cope with and control their emotions. When he first heard the diagnosis, he recalled images of mental toughness that he had learned about through sport. Masking pain, hiding it, keeping it inside. These ideas had been embedded in him since childhood. Never show weakness, suck it up, play through it, live through it. Now he understands that mental health means the total opposite. Back in 2009, and during his last season with the Denver Broncos, Brandon was depressed. Surrounded by luxury, he would sit at home in a catatonic state. He didn't want to talk to anybody and wanted to hide from the world. He blamed his coach and the team for not giving him what he felt he deserved, although later admitting that he wouldn't have given him the deal he wanted either until he got a handle on things. He then found himself traded to the Miami Dolphins. He signed a 5-year, $50 million contract. He thought his depression would lift. What did he have to be miserable about? Despite having more than most could dream of and being one of the top athletes in his field, he couldn't outrun the black dog. Sometimes he would go days without talking to anybody. When his family would visit, he would greet them, but then just sit there. He felt everyone was wondering what was wrong with him. After being encouraged to seek help, Brandon spent 3 months in the outpatient program at McLean Hospital. While there, he learned the tools and skills to help him cope with his emotions. He is still the same person today as he was before his treatment, and he still has the same feelings and emotions. The only difference is that now, I know how to deal with my emotions in the right way, said Brandon, before stating how those 3 months changed his life. After sitting in that car park, calculating the number of people suffering, Brandon decided to use his platform to try and eradicate the stigma surrounding mental health. I believe my purpose is to serve as an example for those who are suffering from mental ill health, to show them that it's okay to seek help. When talking to someone who you think is struggling with their mental health, it is important to understand that you are not an expert. But it is important to care about your friends and the community around you. You can do this by asking people how they are feeling, paying attention to their response, and ask how they would like to be supported. Avoid intrusive questions. Treat everyone fairly, and make yourself available just to listen. Empathise with them. Listen and seek understanding of what they are going through, but don't feel pressured to find them answers. For example, if someone wants to speak to you about their mental health, ask them to tell you how they are feeling. Appreciate that it is extremely difficult for them to speak about what they are going through, and reassure them that it is positive that they want to talk about what they are going through. Braden went on to continue his career playing for the New York Giants. He has 2 beautiful children and a healthy marriage.